you a big March Madness guy? You like him?
Yeah, I've been keeping up. Everybody's brackets are getting pretty screwed right now, though.
Yeah.
Who's your team?
I personally don't have a basketball team. My mom went to Auburn, so I'll cheer on Auburn. So, but other than that, no, I don't really watch basketball that much.
So tell us your take on the defensive line. Obviously, it looks like they're a very strong unit this year.
Yeah, 100%. I think one thing is the depth that we have now, and not only that, it's I guess you could say the skill gap in the depth is completely reduced. I think that's one of the things that I've harped on over the years is like being able to put the twos in and everybody thinks that they're ones can take you a long way. And when you can have guys constantly rotating, constantly fresh, I mean, it makes a big difference. And I'm really, really excited with the new guys that came in, but also the guys that have come up, you know, guys like Joe, guys like Stanley, Omar, TJ, and everybody like that, man. They're doing really, really well. And I think it's only going to go up from here.
Obviously, there's continuity with Donnie taking over the defense, and still early in spring practice. But are there any differences that you've noticed between AP and Donnie's defense this year?
I mean, I guess you could say AP loved to blitz. He was definitely more blitz heavy. But I think overall, they're both phenomenal coaches. Their attention to detail is, I mean, astronomical. I mean, I like to say that I pay attention to the details. They pay attention to the details. Like it's pretty hardcore, but that's what makes everybody better, right? And as far as coaching styles between the two, you know, the defense is still pretty much the same. We're still pretty much running the same thing. But you know, like I said, just paying attention to the details, and you know, Donnie doesn't really like to like us running our mouths too much, but you know. It's all right, just play ball. But other than that, I don't really notice too much. But they're both great coaches. So,
when it comes to the linebackers, a lot of returning talent from last year. Do you really see maybe a seamless transition, even when you lose a big piece like Darren Butler?
You know, as far as the linebackers go, and I think this is a defense as a whole, when you have guys that have rotated in, you have guys like Gentry come in, Connor Soley, and that can come in, play behind Merlin, play behind D-Black, play behind Kyle. Like I said, that skill gap between the ones and twos significantly reduces. And I don't think there's a big piece missing. Obviously, I'm going to miss Darian and those guys like that. But there's guys that are willing to step up and, you know, take over, and I think that's what we need.
I know Nesta hasn't been out there much, but just what have you seen from him since he arrived from Miami?
Yeah, I'm excited. He's engaged. I'll say that. The biggest thing when you're hurt or when you're injured is being engaged, and I think that's one of the most important things, right? Because at that point, the only reps you're taking are mental, and if you're not taking those mental reps, you're going to be leaps and bounds behind when you actually start playing. And, you know, that's one of the most important things. So I think Ness is doing a great job of being engaged, learning what he can without actually playing, and I think that's going to do really well for him when he actually does put the pads on.
You mentioned more of the same for your defense. How big is that for you, you know, continuity-wise, considering you're one of the leaders, one of the older players on this team?
Yeah, like as far as the defense being the same with AP and Donnie,
yeah.
I think it's good, right? Because we've learned everything up from the past 2 years, right? And we took the past 2 years to really develop and hone in on this defense. And now we're going to get a chance to really shine. And now you have a point where there was a learning curve of learning the new defense going from Coach G to AP or Marv, but now there's a confidence, right? Because now you've repped it, you've done these plays, you've played in these formations. Now there's a confidence and kind of a swagger that comes with it. So I think that's important, especially for the younger guys and even the older guys too, because now I can play a little bit looser. And guys that are coming up like Guerin and BJ, they can play loose too. So.
A guy like Robbie Harrison looks the part, certainly, coming out of high school. What have you seen from him as he tries to acclimate to this level of ball?
Dude's freakishly strong, like freakishly strong. There's a learning curve. I mean, that's when you go from high school to college, I mean, the game is fast, a lot faster than most people would understand. And so that's one of the things that you got to get used to as a kid. And you get thrown in the fire, and they just tell you to go. It's hard, right? And you got to get used to it. So, like, you know, it's only the first week, and the kid's never, you know, he's supposed to be going to prom probably next weekend. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to throw somebody in there who doesn't even can't even grow a beard, right? But the kid's strong, he's athletic, and he's determined to actually do well. And I think that's going to go. I think that's going to go. That's going to take him to be a great player. So.
What's it been like for you guys having Shannon Foreman out there with you and just sort of, you know, seems like he's giving some tips on the field and whatnot?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things transitioning, you know, or like when you teach younger guys or even older guys too, when you have a guy that has taken 50 snaps a game for the past 2 years, who knows the ins and outs of this defense alone, right? And can come in and teach these younger guys and teach other guys about. There's always little details that people, like maybe a coach might miss or something like that, right? But Shannon's actually played that part, and so his credibility in coming in and trying to teach you how to, you should do this with your hands or this with your feet or take these steps, right? There's a lot more coming out of that, right? And so I think, he plays a vital role in that.
What would you say is the value for the young players and just players that haven't played as much and learning from Robert Rodriguez from day one?
Yeah, he comes with an intensity, but I think the main thing that I've always harped on about Coach Rod is he's establishing a great foundation to where you don't need to be a Myles Garrett. You don't need to be an Aaron Donald to play well and make plays. So he's establishing that framework, that foundation that can get you to the next level. And I think that's a vital part of this defense and this D-line. And, when you can build that foundation up with the younger guys and then turn them into older guys like myself, you can have that confidence in putting anybody out there.
Obviously, there's been a lot of just kind of external stuff going on surrounding this program for a while.
Yeah.
What kind of impact has it had in the locker room? Is that like a rally the guys and kind of circle the wagons type approach, us against the world, or how do you guys internalize that?
I don't know. Last week was like the first time I've looked on Twitter in a year. So realistically, it's blocking out the noise. I don't really care what anybody says outside. It doesn't matter to us. At this point, like Herm always preaches, we're trying to go 1-0 every week. And regardless of what's happening, what's going on, what's not going on, until someone tells me I can't put my pads on, I'm going to go out and play. And I think that's the mentality across the entire team. I don't really care what people say outside of this program. But the guys in that room, that's what matters. So.